Hey guys, welcome to this series, The Brick Story. This story is inspired by some of the experiences and readings for an aspiring practice leader. I have been working in this area from last 2 years and uh, wanted to share some of my understanding of this field, and therefore I am starting with this series. This is going to be an 11 article series. 11, I'm sure we'll convert it into 11 videos. I have just tried to put down some of the things which I learned on this journey. Just wanted to give a disclaimer before I start writing. I'm writing this series purely based on reading and knowledge, and the experiences which are shared or mentioned have been exemplified, not necessarily they are real and related to any of the workplace. The purpose is to share the thoughts how a service organization, or for that matter a GCC, can distinguish themselves in terms of the technology offerings. How can they consolidate their portfolio and therefore uh, unlock the potential of growth? What is the need to have a razor sharp focus on building technology practices? So, those who are familiar with the IT services organization setup, uh, like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, and all. So they all have been predominantly working in staffing organizations. They go for larger deals where they have the domain experiences and digital transformation experiences, and they go for those deals and then they staff it. For example, the transformations, some of the big transformation, let's say cloud modernization in any of the organization, let's say bank, cloud or cloud modernization in bank might require a staffing of around 1,000 people. So they will have that workforce ready, and then they will get there. Most of the time they would just align with the stakeholders at at the bank, and then each of the stakeholder would give them work, and that work they would diligently finish and get their billing and all. So in that way most of the IT services organizations have worked. They look almost similar, like TCS, Infi, Wipro. You can't just distinguish a lot. On hindsight, to support such initiatives, they would have a lot of staffing done on their side. They are very heavy on human resources. They are very heavy on number of people. But over the time, what has happened is uh, the staffing business is getting crowded and also having certain financial limitation as well. Like you can't scale on staffing, like you can't increase your margins on staffing. That is the biggest challenge. So with the limited budget, so they would definitely want to go to a high margin business of doing some research and products. That is what they wanted to be in. Therefore many of the organizations like Infosys, 7 to 8 years back, or rather 10-15 years back, they started something called products and platforms, but they terribly failed. TCS also has a similar unit, but uh, not sure of their percentage of revenue that they get from it. But they have certain some products like TCS banks and all. In insurance also, they acquire certain organization where they get the domain expertise and all. But still, that is not a significant revenue booster for them. And the focus is on the smaller organization. We try to imitate this, and they also are in a staffing mode. What happened to staffing mode organization is the margin of a business is very less. So they almost look similar. There is no way any organization could distinguish themselves. Trying to going towards research and product require a huge amount of budget and require a different type of talent. What each organization try to achieve is, let's say TCS would try to get some people out of their staffing and would try to build certain products out of it, forgetting the fact that there is a fundamental difference between those who try to being staff and follow the instruction, and on the other hand build the products. There is a fundamental difference in the mindset itself, because one person who is working as a staffing would always be a follower. He won't innovate a lot, correct? or he will do an incremental innovation, whereas on the other hand, some of the people who build the products require a completely 180-degree shift of the mindset. Okay, what happens eventually is, uh, eventually staffing remains then their bread and butter, and they would try to earn through that. There is another devil at the door of staffing organization. So if you are predominantly a staffing organization in today's world, what has happened is, because of AI and smaller IT services firm are trying to compete with these larger IT services firms. So entry barrier is fading a lot. There is not much of an entry barrier left, and because of that, even a smaller competitor who has just like 50 people or 100 people can give a fierce competition to an organization which has like 50K. Means the quality of people you get in a smaller organization would be better compared to what you would get at a larger organization. That's what remains the feeling of, this is what remains the feeling the uh, of the end user. Again, so this is another challenge. So in the era of democratization of intelligence and market access, when every one of the competitor looks similar, it is essential to distinguish and build things out, and then only you will be able to distinguish. So there is a need of a resilient competitive capability. You should have something which is competitive enough and resilient enough to stand the test of time, a capability and culture that stands out, and uh, over the time it remains stable. So this is the 11 series article on the topic on how to build a strong technology practice. So each time I say technology practice, let's understand what is a technology practice. So what is a technology practice in any organization? Before we go to that topic, let us try to understand that how companies are, how the companies are different in today's market. So for example, in the world of technology, there are few companies which are very specialized in the area. So for example, if we go for cloud computing, AWS, Azure, Google, these are like huge investment businesses which AWS has done over the time. Some trillions of dollars needs to be shelled out to build such business. Okay, so AWS, Azure, Google, it is not, it is very hard to build such businesses. But then such businesses, the major problem is they invested billions of dollar in building that out, but to come down to a last mile connectivity and making the user to take a decision between AWS, Azure, and Google, it is not possible for them. So that is where, so that is one example. Second is, let's say, an example of Databricks and Snowflake. So in today's data engineering platform world, Databricks and Snowflake are one of the top most competitors of data engineering platform. There is quite a noise there, but Databricks and Snowflake definitely stands out. So whenever we see an IT services, whenever we see an IT department in any company, and there, if we check a specific unit that okay, where data and AI is getting worked out, either there will be Databricks or there will be Snowflake or a combination of both. Okay, would exist. So like these companies, one common thing in between these companies is like they have invested billions of dollars in building that platforms, and now they wanted to take that down to the end user. That is their purpose, and that is where these IT services providers, who has multiple customers in different domains, uh, can play an important role, because they can't, and a TCS cannot build AWS. That is definitely a distant dream, or they would not have that kind of budgets to build that out, and so they would not build that out. But then they would play an important role in taking the technology down to the customer and implementing in a right way, so that it is the most efficient way of their implementation. And that way, overall it's a win-win situation for both. So for AWS, they will be very happy that their technology is being used, so they earn on the usage, and the company like service organization earn on their maintenance, eventually providing a good service to a customer. So that is so the technology, the then what is a technology practice? So technology practice is a group of people working in a service organization, focusing specifically on these technology um, basically advanced companies. So for example, AWS, Azure, Google, Databricks, Snowflake, they can form their own individual technology practice in a service industry. For example, a TCS will have a Databricks COE, Center of Excellence, AWS COE, AWS Center of Excellence, Azure Center of Excellence, Google GCP Center of Excellence. So that way, okay, correct. So this pool of resources, knowledge, and people within the organization specialize in the particular technology forms the technology practice of an organization. So this is the technology practice I will be talking about. So hopefully, you have understood that so we have a very specific setup when we are reading these articles out, right? The company is a service industry like TCS, Infi, like that, and within that you have a technology practice. Technology practice will be a special pool of resources, knowledge, and people within an organization specialized in the particular domain, that is AWS, Azure, Google, Databricks, Snowflake, etc. Like that. Now, how this helps is, is it a strategic decision to have that or just an on paper thing? So let's bust the myth. A practice is not a COE. Okay, so everyone thinks that okay, practice is the center of excellence. Even by mistake, I just minute back I called it as a COE. So practice is not a COE. Okay, it's not a business unit. Like service industry will have a business unit. Like okay, you have BFSI, you have insurance, and like that, right? Focusing on specific domains. It's not even a business unit. It's not a delivery team. It's not a new offering stitched together. It's not a few offerings stitched together. A practice is a strategic growth engine built on top of a technology partnership aligned with market needs, capable of scaling value, and orchestrated across every department of the organization. The word every department of organization is very important. For so we said that okay, is it a COE, is it a business unit, is it a delivery team? No, nothing. But it is everything. It cuts across every department in an organization. So a practice needs to have its relation and role with L&D, learning and development. A practice needs to have a relation with your sales. A practice needs to have a relation with capability, with delivery. A practice needs to have a relation with the marketing team. Every unit needs to coordinate with the practice, so that so that it is not just a paper tiger, but it's a strategic growth engine. For those who have been fortunate enough to understand this and help build ground up, navigating ambiguity, unlocking partnership, and evangelizing internally, aligning stakeholders, and scaling from pilot projects to revenue generating engine, we know that it's more art than an assembly line. It's more art than a science. Correct? So this 21 part series, Building a Practice Brick by Brick, is an attempt to share my thoughts in trenches, combining experiences with some proven frameworks, strategic mistakes and tactical wins, and vision with gritty execution. Who is it written for? It is written for an aspiring practice leader, solution architect with growth ambitions, COE heads and transformation leads, anyone who is trying to turn technical capabilities into business value at scale. If done right, a practice can anchor your sales and GTM effort, can shape your talent and hiring, guides your capability development agenda, powers your delivery playbooks, and amplifies your brand and visibility. And most importantly, it stretches across an entire organization. Two things you must take back from here. What is a technology practice that you have understood? But two things that you must take back from this uh, video is, it's an art then science, and it stretches across entire organization. It's not a job of one department. It needs an orchestration of all the departments: sales, marketing, delivery, HR, alliances, finance, leadership. Everyone needs to be involved. It's not a silo, it's a shared moment. There is one more concept which I always say, that these partnerships are the new growth lakes. You know the story of Microsoft, right? The story of Microsoft is Microsoft and IBM were competing almost on a similar products. But the reason Microsoft was successful was because not because their products were better, but their implementations were much better than the IBM. And that's where Microsoft took a lead over IBM. So this is the importance of a last mile connectivity that a service organization can provide to these technology service providers like AWS, Databricks, etc. The products have a huge strategic technology partnerships are like glacial lakes, massive reservoirs of potential formed over the years of innovation, funding and ecosystem work. When we as a service provider aligns our practice with the partners like Databricks, Microsoft, AWS, Snowflake, ServiceNow, you are tapping into something deeper. We can get a direct access to an existing demand and market momentum. R&D investment that are already being done, we can get direct access to that. GTM and co-sell opportunities, training and certification ecosystem. But here is the catch: the magic only happens when someone's close to the business and implementation makes it real. The real power of any tech product lies in the hands of an implementer. This is where the service industry and GCCs have the golden opportunity to take these lakes of information and convert them into the rivers of business impact. How do we start? We don't start with a perfect plan. We start with the momentum. We set bold but clear goals. Laid the foundation. Open internal channels. Apply the theory of attention to drive awareness. Build capability through training, hiring, mentoring. Showcased on right forums, client stories, internal wins, some of their conferences, annual conferences which happen. Define unique offerings. Problem first, not tech first. Unique offering. We need to bring unique offerings to the table. Enable sales with playbooks, workshops, and war rooms. Delivered value through double engine, marketing plus delivery. This is not building a unit, it's orchestrating a system of growth across the organization. That is what is important. What all things you will learn from this series is: how do I assess? In the initial phase, you need to assess the organizational readiness to build a practice. How I define the offerings that align with the tech partnerships and market need. How do I move from zero to a $10 million revenue with the speed and clarity? How do I create a flywheel of talent, delivery, and marketing with sales? How do I measure success and know when to pivot? In this, we'll not just be sharing the experiences, but we'll cover some of the management frameworks, which is McKinsey 7S framework, GAF, growth amplification frameworks, then uh, Blue Blue Ocean strategy, balanced scorecard, theory of attention, and emergent strategy for adaptive planning, all grounded in the belief of building a practice is building a momentum. You might be a practice reader, you might be starting out, or you might be somewhere in between. Wherever you are, this series is for you. Not every story will be yours, but every lesson is hard earned. If it saves you a month of confusion, one wrong hire, and one stalled initiative, it's worth it. Let's build it together. Let's share these experiences. Please do subscribe, listen to this. I'll be posting around 11 videos related to this article. This is article 0. So we start with 1 to 12, almost 12 are there. I think 12 articles I'll post it. So this is a commitment from my side to share this knowledge. Please do subscribe and listen into this. Thank you. Thanks.